This is my MacBook 12-inch from 2015. And of course, the screen doesn't work because, Bendgate. And the only way I can use it is like this, by connecting the MacBook to an external screen. So I kind of use it as a desktop. And it's kind of sad because I really like the form factor of those MacBooks. And to replace the screen is not cost effective, as a new screen costs a lot more than the device itself. So I was okay using it like this, but new problem appeared, and it is the legendary keyboard with the butterfly switches. So I started looking for another way of using the MacBook, and I tried to make this tiny MacBook thing where I used the board from the MacBook and placed inside the housing from iPhone 7 Plus. But I ended up scrapping the project because I was unable to find a screen that will fit inside the housing and make it look like an actual phone. It was good idea, but like I said, in the end, I just decided to abandon it. Until now, where I think I have a better idea, but before you guys say, oh, this is stupid, or why would you do that? Hey, I have a free time and this Mac will be unusable anyway, so why not? So just relax and see what I'm about to do with the Mac. I hope you like it. So let's go. So I'm starting with disassembling the MacBook, as I don't need all the parts, just some of them. These are a bit tricky to open because the keyboard cable is still connected to the mainboard and you don't have to open it all the way. After that, I'll disconnect the battery and the USB-C cable, then I can disconnect the speakers and the antennas from the board. And once everything is disconnected, I can simply take out the board and check out how small it is. Imagine if they put M-series CPU inside. Now I can disconnect the audio jack and I can take out the flex cable for the Type-C connector and the connector itself, because they're separate parts. Since I won't be needing this, I'll remove it, and now what I need to do is take out the speakers because they act as Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antennas. And I won't be needing this anymore. And I think those are the parts I'll need from the MacBook to complete my project. I will also need the little fan I installed in this housing, because even though the Mac is passively cooled, a fan will do a lot better. Now guess which movie I was watching when I decided to make this the housing of the computer. Now I need to figure out how to fit the board inside and still have access to the Type-C cable. Since the board is a bit larger than the jar, I think I'll have to put it like this in an angle. But if I close the lid on the jar, I can't access the cable, so I think the cable should be sticking out like this at the back. So I think I have to change the lid itself. And I also think I won't be needing this rubber ring. So the plan is to cut off part of the lid to make room for the cooling. But if you're doing something similar and you don't want to cut anything, you should check out the sponsor of this video, PCBWay. They can do all type of projects just for you. Why you should do everything yourself? You can let PCBWay do it for you. You don't have to cut, file or any of this. It's really simple. Just go to PCBWay.com, pick what you need, drag and drop your project and decide the materials. Maybe your project needs some of that lightweight carbon fiber. No problem, PCBWay can do it for you. And it's not just 3D printing or CNC machining. They can do all type of jobs. Just let them know what you need. Just go to pcbway.com and make your first project with $5 off on first order and free shipping for all orders over $29. Don't wait, just go to pcbway.com. So I filed down some of those rough edges to make it more straight for the tiny fan. Now I need to drill some holes. For all the people that like symmetry, I'm going to say I'm sorry for what you're about to see now. This part ended up looking good, but this looks like a battlefield. So I think I'll just cover it up with small grill. I'll just have to cut the excess plastic. Might need to file down the rough edges. And I'll just glue it down with some super glue. So, I think it looks better. Now let's see how it sits in the jar. Yep, perfect. Let's try it out with the board inside. But I think I'll need some sort of stand to keep the board at angle and not freely moving inside. I will use the piece I have left over from the lid of the jar. I'll just sand this part, and also I'm going to cut a large chunk of it to make room for the cable. Let's sand this part also. Let's see if the board fits. Looking good. After gluing down the small fan, I need to solder USB for power. This is so tiny and so uncomfortable. Let's test it. Yep, it works. Perfect. At the end I decided to super glue this USB on the lid. So, vents check, tiny fan check. Now I will have to just hide this cable not to be sticking out with some tape. Also, I got the stand glued in on the lid and I think I'm good to go. Let's try this out. I'm connecting just one of the speakers for the antenna. I'm not even sure if it works that way. But let's find out. Now let's see if the lid will fit perfectly. Oh yeah, it's perfect. Now the important part where I use a lot of tape to keep the jar and the lid together. It might not look so professional, but I don't know another way to keep this in one piece. This project turned out to have more tape and glue than electronics in it. But still, I really hope this will work. So, it doesn't look that bad, unless you look it closely. But yeah, I think I'm done with this. Now let's see if everything will turn on. Connecting Type-C hub, so later I can connect my mouse, keyboard and power on the Mac. Got some extra cables just in case, I'm not sure what I'll need, and a tiny keyboard to match the size of the Mac. And this is what I chose for a screen. It came with a lot of cables, I'm not sure if I need all. But the screen is supposed to be really good because it's 1080p and it's quite small. And it was also the cheapest one I could find out there. And let's put everything together. Managed to find this stand for the screen, and I'll use power bank to power on the screen and the fan. Now connecting power, connecting the HDMI and now the Mac. Let's power it on. And we have picture. Yeah, it's working. If you wonder how the Mac turned on without keyboard, it's quite simple. It's because when it doesn't have a battery and you plug in the power, it just turns on by itself. Now I'll connect this keyboard with Bluetooth. I'll just have to use the other one to add it. And I think it's done. Now, as you can see, the keyboard works, but it's quite tiny. It's very hard to type in on this. One thing I would like to mention is that I had to replace the HDMI cable, as the first one it seemed to be defective. This project was kinda cool, but it wasn't as fun as I hoped to be while I was making it. But at the end it works, it's usable, and as you can see I'm opening YouTube and I'm trying to run some videos. The Mac Mini itself, it's not so powerful as it has the M series of the Intel CPUs and only 8 GB of RAM. But I think I can watch videos on this. I'm highly doubting that it will run any games. But yeah, it's a cool piece I can keep on my desk. And it's the most Balkan thing I did so far. And the thing I forgot totally about was the sound. The screen I'm using doesn't have any speakers, so I'll need to find another way to get sound on this build. But I think I could use some Bluetooth speakers or maybe Bluetooth headset. But I'll leave this for some day when I'm gonna play Crisis on it. So tell me, what do you think? Do you like the idea of having Mac in a jar? Or maybe you don't like it? For me personally, I think it will look cool sitting on my desk, but nothing more. That's not practical, so please don't do this to your Mac. I hope I didn't disappoint you with this silly idea of mine, and maybe if you want to see something different, just let me know in the comments below. Thank you.